Okay, here we go. Pans video. Very important. First time from the camera. Face up. Lights on. Here we go. Forgive me. First time in front of the camera. Today we are looking at ceramic spray by Clean by Pan the Organizer. Work on the name. You've seen a lot of people testing this here and there, all initial stuff. Obviously, it's only been out a little while. Nobody's got long-term. But today what we'll be looking at is chemical resistance panel using Built Hammer Autofoam, a filling jetting panel. People call it gloss, but we're looking at how much it fills in defects. Excuse me. And then we've got a real-world test going on the hood of the car that is in its first week, not even. So I've got a wash footage from that a day after application, curing in the garage. And then from there, we'll follow it until something interesting happens. But before we get into the results, I've got footage of application and prep for the hood on the real world test. I'm keeping the panels blind. You don't get to know who's who in the filling or the chemical test, because there's just way too much heat on this stuff right now. And I don't want people who have history and feelings to color the actual performance of the product, because that's why we're here, about the product, not the person. So let's look into that. But first, we will get into how the products were applied, the conditions, all that good stuff. First things first, the hood was rinseless wash with DIY Details rinseless wash, which I bought recently, and I kind of like it as the pad cleaning system. That's sort of what I'm using it for, in clay lube. And then that was then clayed with a clay, not one of their PTSD towels. And then after the claying and drying off, we went into the gold standard polish using the DIY Detail yellow waffle pad. Excuse me. And then when the whole hood was stripped clean, we, just for insurance purposes, panel prepped it. Even though this technically takes off, or sorry, this takes off this, I still use panel prep because it's a test. You don't want to leave variables out. And don't worry, all of these products will not be linked below. Okay, so first things first, we're going to look at the gloss or fill panel. You can see there's 4 sections, 1, 2, 3, and 4. Again, this is blind, I'm telling you who is who. Just have a look-see and see who you think is best. I might move the camera around a little bit or zoom it in just to clean it up, but we will get there when we get there. So we'll start top left, work our way over like this. So here's your control. Yeah, that's better. Seems to be quite a bit better than control. Let's check number 2. Better than control, but it is not as good as section 1. And I'm looking in person also as well as through the camera, and it's picking it up on camera pretty well. Almost as well as I can see in person, but I can tell you right now, number 1 is definitely in the lead. Moving on, number 3. What? It's darker, but the swirls, these lines don't really diminish much, which means they're not filling them in. So that's sort of what you're looking for, is like, A, is there a darkness difference, and B, are these lines shrinking? Like if you compare to here, I'm trying to get it shot in the middle, you can see the top one, the lines are way shorter and way less faint. Way more faint, I should say. So yeah, it darkened it for sure, but it didn't fill much. So, and then we might shuffle the tripod a smidge just to get a better line up. Section 4. I'd say it's about the same as 3. Didn't do a ton of filling. I'm looking in person. Yeah, I don't know. I'd say it's about the same as 3. But definitely first place up in the top here. And yeah, first, second, and tied for third. All right, let's move on. Okay, we are in now for the chemical resistance testing, which is done with Bilt Hamber Auto Foam through a foam trigger at 2% PIR, which is right smack in the middle roughly of its strength range. Something you would use if you've gone through winter and it's gotten, you've got a coating on your car, you've got a lot of buildup of dirt. You would use one of these foams to do a real deep clean without contact. It is not an everyday wash, but that's what you do, and that's what we'll be doing here. Hydrophobics were checked before a day ago, so it's dried again. So I'm just going to re-wet it, foam this on, and then work it in with the Detail Factory brush. This doesn't scratch. This doesn't do anything extra than what the foam does, except spread it around and make it consistent. Everyone thinks it's going to massively increase the amount of abrasion, but this panel is clean, so don't think that's dumb. But anyway, here we go. Yeah. Well, somebody checked out pretty early, but let me go grab a rag and do a wet wipe, because that's a little concerning. Okay, we got a wet wipe. Let's give everything a little dust off. Make sure there's no residue. Some people say Bilt Hamber gives residue. It doesn't on a coating, you know that. So, but you never know. Every product's different. Okay. Sorry, I keep shifting everything here. There it. So I'd say first and second. Last. Fourth, third, fourth. So these are tied for first or second. It's too hard to tell. I'm gonna do a few more rounds off camera, mop up the mess I'm making, and then come back when something meaningful happens. Okay, I did 3 sets in total. Mopped and did a wet wipe and inspected it. So there is this distinct order after 3 hits. That's all I'm going to do because I'm also running a real world long-term test. So this is just for S's and G's essentially. So yeah, so let's have a look. You tell me who you think is winning. I'll tell you who I think is winning, and we'll go from there. I am going to say first, second, third, fourth, fifth. That's what I think. You let me know. But that's what I'm seeing. So that's what I think. Anyway, let's get over all these stupid tests that don't mean anything in the real world. So what I have in front of me is my notebook, which I use to keep track of my tests. When I do blind tests, I need to write it down somewhere, otherwise I myself forget. So for the chemical resistance test, moving from left on your screen to right, so 1 to 5, because there's 5 sections. Note we have 4 products in this test, but we're only testing this one against them. It's not a review for all of those products, it's this product. But so the second to last, I believe it was 4th place. Sorry, no, I'm gonna move in last to first. So in last place, the middle section, that was New Finish. Shocker, it doesn't have great chemical resistance, it seems. Bilthamber 2% is not gentle, but very hydrophobic off the bat, but it did not like Bilthamber, and I wet wiped it, I checked it, it was done. So in 4th place was section 1, which was Fuso Coat. I had an extra spot on this panel because it has 5, and I decided that a 12-month wax versus a 12-month spray would be a good addition. And clearly it does last in the real world, but it doesn't like certain types of surfactants. So Bilthamber wiped it out. It was there a bit, but comparatively, it was dead. The 3rd place, section 2, section 4. Section 4 was 3rd place. That was Turtle Wax. That was the Flex Wax. So pretty solid. Obviously, chemical resistance is something they're known for. But yeah, that was 3rd place. Third. 2nd place was section 2, and that was Clean by Pan. And it's been on the panel since last Tuesday, and it is currently Sunday evening. So when I saw this come out on a channel with a 30-minute chemical resistance test, I thought, you know, I'm curing it in a garage. It's like 22 degrees straight. It's never seeing anything different. So I thought, you know what, 5 days is good enough. And I'm not using stupid chemicals either. I'm just using a regular high alkalinity pre-wash. So I decided to do it early, but that's my choice. And in 1st place, closely, was Griots in section 5. So that's your chemical resistance panel. Let's go on to gloss. Gloss panel, section 1, which was 1st place, is Turtle Wax. That was Flex Wax. It filled so much more than the other 3 competitors. Section 2 was okay, but section 1, especially to the naked eye, much better. Griots was in second in the 2nd panel. First, second. It's like it's rigged. But overall, it was a good chunk behind Turtle Wax, as you can see. Like what you saw on the camera is kind of what I was seeing with my eye. Maybe not quite as clear, but same. Definitely did a good job. All of them sort of got a bit of blackening back to the panel, but Turtle Wax and Griots took out that swirling haze a lot better. And the tie for third place was New Finish and Clean. So not a jetter. Not bad, but if you're really looking to fill in defects and really hide something for a show or whatever reason, just because you want to, that is maybe not the best choice. But yeah, so that's Gloss Panel. Okay, it's time for the conclusion. And it's going to be a little bit different than my normal conclusions, because on one hand, we've got the conclusion about the product, which overall I think it was pretty easy to apply, very little smearing. It smells good, but it's strong. If you're not a smell person, stay away. Hydrophobics are middle of the road, not bad, not good. Or sorry, not best. And chemical resistance, pretty good. Again, chemical resistance doesn't translate to real world durability. Don't believe that. But otherwise, I don't have a ton of issues with this product. But I have some issues with what's going on in the YouTube detailing community. And leading up to getting this, because I'm in Canada, it took longer for me to get it. Leading up to this video, I watched quite a few videos on this product and other products from Clean. And all the way from Pan's stuff and the people distributing it, down to brand new channels that are clamping onto this brand like it's their lifeline to success, to podcasts where people are drinking alcohol and screaming at each other and making no sense. So I've looked at everything, but as the title and thumbnail suggests, something is unclear. And that's sort of how things are going to go forward. Ultimately, everyone's been talking about bias, about being paid for things, and I'm not bringing up stuff from the past, by the way. I'm just looking at the now, which is product review channels that now have brands. And that just right in and of itself is what everyone seems to be missing. Everyone's talking about bias and stuff, and bias is an effect. Something causes a bias. So in this situation, what's causing the word bias to be thrown around is a conflict of interest where two goals oppose one another and one will overpower the other. And if you look around your day-to-day life, if you look at things you use and marketing that you're subjected to, how much of it is, a brand clearly showing other brands and their brand winning? Never. Like they say, the leading competitor. They typically don't use exacting information like that. And again, YouTube detailing stuff is different. It's not the same as toilet paper commercials or something like that. But we do have mystery blue liquid, right? But ultimately, if you have a brand, you gotta step away. Like you gotta hang it up. You don't get to do this anymore. You have a brand now. Who cares? Like, you're making the products exactly how you want. They're the best things in the world. And why would you care? Yeah, buy other brands' products and test them in the background and, keep leveling up. That's what everyone in every industry does. But you don't need to make videos about it and tell people your objective, because it doesn't matter. If you and I did the same video and got the same results, they'd only believe me. So yeah, that's about it. I like this product. I'm not reaching out for all the other products right now. I don't need them. I don't want to spend $400 on coatings. But that's sort of where we're at. You've opened a door, you gotta shut the other one. Thank you for watching. Bye.